Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. As you can see from this steam tank here, we're going to be taking the Empire today. We're going to be taking on the Greenskins. So let's go ahead and jump straight to the army compositions. My forces are going to be led by Karl Franz, who is currently sitting in the woods over here. He's going to be backed up by the Royal Altdorf Griffites. We've got a Jade Wizard here for that healing support, and a unit of Grenade Outriders. I figured let's have some fun. You don't get to see these guys too often, so let's give them a shot here. Likewise, you don't get to see the steam tank too often. I'll talk about a little bit why in the end screen, but yeah. It's potentially good against the Greenskins. These things are unbreakable. They do cause fear and terror. 160 armor, 48 speed, which is pretty solid overall. We'll talk about their melee stats here as well. Only 10 melee defense means this thing's pretty much always going to be taking hits, and 180 weapon strength total with 115 armor piercing is pretty poor overall, especially when you compare it to something like the Stegadon, for example, which is around the same cost. Granted, it does do more missile damage than the Stegadon, but still substantially less weapon damage. We've got 3 units of Pistoliers, 2 Reichsguard, and a couple of Spearmen to round things out. So very cav-centric, very small model count army, only about 400 models. For my opponent here, we're going to be taking on the Greenskins. We've got Azag the Slaughterer up in the air, Orc Boarboy Biggins, and Durkit Squigs here. Infantry line is going to be a mix of Savage Orc Biggins out on the flanks. We've got a couple, one regular Savage Orc, and it looks like another in the center, 2 Black Orcs, a couple of Gobos. We've got the 2 Regiment of Renowned Gobos as well, Warlord's Boys and the 8-Peak Loonies here, 1 Orc Air Boy. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and kick the battle into full gear. We'll watch as things unfold here. So right off the bat, I'm going to be trying to get in on the Savage Orcs and deliver a nice volley of Pistolier fire. Of course, since they have no armor, they do have a bit of physical resistance, but we'll still be able to do quite a bit of damage with those pistols. So unfortunately, they are losing some shots into these Gobos right now, who do have a solid missile block chance and are going to be an ideal unit for soaking up that fire. That being said, Steam Tank has opened up shots. Unfortunately, it's only taken out about 3 of these Black Orcs so far. Another solid hit, taking out about 2 there. Pretty decent. Just doesn't do that much at the end of the day. The Steam Tank will definitely be better off shooting at large targets, as it is a cannon, anti-large type artillery. Doesn't necessarily have a true anti-large bonus, but better against single model entities, definitely. You can see I'm going to get some nice fire in here. Only take off about 2 unit models, though, on those Savage Orc Biggins. And yeah, it's going to be pulling back, and the issue I'm going to face here is there's so much Greenskin infantry, and I have 2 units of infantry and then a whole bunch of cav, so I'm going to have to really aggressively cycle charge and, you know, keep my forces moving as much as possible so that I don't get bogged down here. But yeah, we've been able to do a little bit of damage to these Black Orcs, but honestly, for how expensive this Steam Tank is and for how garbage it is in melee, I would have hoped to do a little bit more. You know, of course, we're not shooting at a single model entity. Azag probably would have been a better target, but you can see Fate of Buna going down, and I immediately counter with Regrowth. Fortunately, Fate of Buna is a much stronger spell than Regrowth. I actually think that Fate of Buna might need a little bit of a nerf, but we countered it almost immediately. We haven't dropped any unit models here, but you can see the Regrowth versus the Fate of Buna directly here. So we'll watch once that spell finishes up, and you can see it's still only about... yeah, I mean, it is still going there, and yeah, still about a third HP gone, so yeah, Fate of Buna does do quite a bit more than that spell's able to heal, but it's all good. Steam Tank is going to get inundated a little bit here. I honestly should have pulled back away. I'm going to just let it fight against these Black Orcs here because I really don't have too much infantry. These State Troop Spearmen are going to lock these Gobos in place, but meanwhile, over on the far side, these Reichsguard are caught in a really bad position here. They've got Azag hunting them down, and these Orc Biggins and Gobos bogging them down as well. There's also some, well, Goblin Wolf Riders that I failed to notice earlier, who did get in and get some nice work done on these Pistoliers. They're also going to be able to keep these Reichsguard from being able to pull away very effectively, and you can see just not enough infantry to hold the line here. These State Troop Spearmen will, of course, beat Gobos, but again, these Zinler's Reichsguard that took that Fate of Buna earlier, going to get dragged down by Orc Boarboy Biggins and Savage Orc Biggins as well. Definitely a very bad engagement for them. We are getting some grenades off in this front line here, though, doing some nice damage, and the idea here with the Steam Tank is you force a nice blob and then use the grenade launchers to blow up that blob. We're pulling Karl and the Altdorf Griffites around to try and support in this engagement. Oh, actually looks like coming around for a second cycle charge here. Fortunately, these Night Goblins are unbreakable. You can see, again, just not enough unit models here to hold the line. These Orc Warboy Biggins are going to get in here. Balance power is still relatively close at this point. Yeah, very nice Earthblood going down, going to be healing up these Royal Althorp Griffites, who still have only lost one unit model, and the Steam Tank as well, of course, being unbreakable, is going to be very strong to heal. We do manage to break that unit of Black Orcs, and over here, these Spearmen holding the line admirably. Likewise, the Reichsguard still holding up quite a large pocket of troops here, and actually able to rout, looks like actually only Wolf Riders, so pretty bad there. You can see, though, these State Troop Spearmen still holding up relatively well. We are managing to get some of these Pistoliers out of the way to do a little bit of work here, but the main point of this replay is definitely the Steam Tank. Azag decides to dive down in here, and I go ahead and countercharge with the Royal Althorp Griffites and Karl here. Unfortunately, he's going to pull back away through his own Durkit Squigs, which is exactly what you should do in this situation, and Karl's not going to be able to get on top of him, unfortunately. That being said, these Royal Althorp Griffites are going to take these Durkit Squigs to task. Likewise, Karl himself getting in here, giving them the Warhammer, definitely going to be striking down some of these foul gobos here. My opponent's very aggressively hunting the Jade Wizard here, so we're going to drop another Earthblood just to heal all the units in his pocket. And again, Path Franz over, so he's attacking Azag. He's going to give him a few swipes in the face. Fortunately, we don't have too many buffs active, just stand your ground at the moment, but Azag is going to be able to, again, pull away through his own troops there as the Savage Orcs and the Gobos come in and surround Franz and the Althorp Griffites here. Most of the support's gone. You can see State Troop Spearmen being routed off there. The Steam Tank is wrapped up in that huge blob at this point. State Troop Spearmen did manage to win out here, and we did spring the Pistoliers free, so not completely out of it yet. But yeah, you can see the Steam Tank fighting in the pits here, Azag and all the boys just surrounding it. And unfortunately, the Steam Tank, because it has a lot of different targets for its splash attack damage, and it honestly does not do any damage in melee. It's just really quite the wet noodle. It's going to toss these guys, but they're all pretty much going to get back up. Even this little Gobbo here, which you think getting run over by the Steam Tank would pretty much give him instantly, but no, he's fine. He's going to get back up here, and Azag doing exactly what he should here, Spirit Leeching the Steam Tank to take it out, and there it goes, blows up. So with that, the balance power is going to tip even more in my opponent's favor. Franz is still online here. Royal Althorp Griffites, though, are gone, and we do still have Pistoliers. They're completely out of ammo at this point, though. We've got a couple of grenade launchers on Station 2. We'll watch as they launch some grenades into the back of these Black Orcs here. But, yeah, decided to take more of a fun army composition, and my opponent definitely brought a competitive greenskin army and just ran me over completely here. So I wasn't necessarily expecting to win, per se, especially with the Steam Tank. It's such a big investment for a really, really subpar unit. But I'd hope to do a little bit better than this. Credit to my opponent, though. He played very well, played it exactly how he should, which was to spread out, hit me from multiple angles, and just overwhelm with numbers. Because I had brought such a low model count army, I was going to have a hard time keeping up with all these units, and he definitely just overwhelmed me completely. So very well played to my opponent here. It is going to be a defeat for Franz and the Empire here. You can see these Orc Boars pulling away, definitely not wanting to get involved with Franz himself. But here comes Azag from the side door with the steel chair, going to be taking on Franz, and unfortunately he's popped all his buffs, but because there's Orc Borbiggin standing in the way, and he's got an attack order on Azag, he's not actually attacking anyone there. Finally he gets a swipe, takes down quite a few of those Boar Boys, but still, it is going to be a defeat for the Empire, so well played to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that battle. Yeah, honestly, I do think that Karl Franz is decent against the Greenskins. If you wanted the most competitive army against the Greenskins, you would probably take Balthazar, honestly, just because the Greenskins don't have any regenerating lords, so the Balthazar goon can definitely work pretty well. That being said, an army like this is going to be pretty good at countering it, because he just has so many units to throw at me here. That being said, at the end of the day, 59 kills on the Steam Tank, considering how expensive it is. You know, this Outrider got just about the same number of kills, so very, very subpar performance there. The Pistoliers did all right. The Reichsguard definitely underperformed there. Reichsguard are a unit that are very good, but if they get caught out in the wrong situation, they can definitely get dragged down there, so very well played to my opponent. His Savage Orc Biggins definitely came in and cleaned up. We were able to rout off the Black Orcs. The other one really didn't do too much, but Orc Boarboy Biggins also doing very well for themselves there. So yeah, let's go ahead and just look into a little bit more detail at the steam tank here. Whoops, wrong menu. And we'll kind of compare it and talk about why I think it's just a completely trash unit and you should never bring it. The greenskins is the one matchup where I say it might be viable, but I mean that was a competitive greenskin build and you saw what happened. So the steam tank for 2,200 points, you don't get much, especially when you consider similar type unit. Let's go ahead and just take a look at a couple of comparisons here. So the Stegodon, so this is the long-range version of the Stegodon. It's a full 500 points cheaper. And let's go ahead and compare the stats 1-to-1. So Stegodon does have less armor, and obviously it's not unbreakable, so you've got it there. Stegodon is slightly faster, has slightly less melee attack, but this is more important. It has significantly better melee defense at 32. The fact that the steam tank only has 10 melee defense means that almost every attack is going to be making contact, and I really think that needs to be changed if the steam tank were to at all be viable. Keep in mind, the Stegodon is 500 points less expensive, so that being said, also the Stegodon also does poison damage. It doesn't do as much damage, but the range is pretty much equivalent. Very slight difference there, but the biggest difference that you can see is in the weapon strength. So the steam tank has 180 weapon strength, which is pitiful. It's completely pitiful. It's just wet noodle. I mean, it's literally the worst monstrous unit in the game in terms of weapon strength. You compare that to the Stegodon. This guy's got 420 armor piercing, 420 weapon strength with 300 armor piercing. So this thing has, you know, almost double the just pure armor piercing what the steam tank has base weapon strength. So just keep that in mind. It also has a bonus versus infantry of 15 and all that jazz. So yeah, just completely pitiful in melee. And granted, this thing is 500 points less expensive. Let's look at another example here, and we'll go ahead and look at the Skaven. So yeah, a Doom Wheel. So a Doom Wheel obviously is not a long-range piece, so we'll go ahead and take that part of it out of the equation. But just from a melee standpoint, you can see the Doom Wheel, again, has significantly more weapon strength. If we go ahead and do a direct comparison here, you can see it has 90 more weapon strength, a true bonus versus infantry, has better melee defense at 32. Again, both these units have 32 melee defense, so, you know, if a Doom Wheel can somehow have 32 melee defense, it really doesn't make sense why a steam tank wouldn't. I mean, I get it has 160 armor, which is much better. Likewise, it's also unbreakable, you know, all that jazz. But still, I mean, just the pitiful weapon strength and the pitiful melee defense means the steam tank, and keep in mind, guys, the steam tank is, what, 800 points more expensive, 750 or so more expensive than the Doom Wheel, so it's just not cost effective in the slightest, and it's really sad, you know. If they were to double the weapon strength on this thing, I think it would maybe be cost effective, and buff the melee defense up to at least like 20 to 25. You'd maybe start to see these things back a little more often, but as it stands right now, I really don't think there's any reason to ever take a steam tank, and I really hope that someone from Creative Assembly watches this and makes the appropriate changes. So thank you all very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this spotlight on the trash compactor, I guess we'll call it. And yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.